Tell me about the cemetery. So how did that all come about, and what do you remember about it?
Yeah, so we've gotten to know Jim Nantz, since he moved to Nashville. Ben in particular knows him really well, and so I guess Jim has a tradition where he goes and pays tribute to old Tom and young Tom, the night before the Sunday of the Open.
And then that night, Jim Nantz is like, you guys got to go to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Are you
And I didn't know
that?
that. Okay, this one now. Jim had never. I know Jim pretty good. We had never really talked about this. This is something that he sprung on us kind of last minute. Said if you guys are game, you have to go there at midnight. And we're just sitting there, all going. And finally, we decided, you know what, we're here. It's that kind of trip. Let's go. Not knowing where it was, not knowing how far. We just all jumped out. And here we go. And then I didn't realize. I thought you could just go see it. Now you got to break in the place. You actually have. You can't just. They don't let you in. You actually have to break in.
On that Saturday, it started. Now there was several different streams. I got a picture of Taylor and Marshall. You spoke to Marshall.
Oh yeah,
great dude. And Ben, we were toasting you, my man. Love you, my man. So that was from Ben. I said it has to be incredible being there on the eve of great history. We just saw your pal Trevor. He's at Russek's with everyone else, And then I said, my tradition at midnight on Saturday night since 2000 is to climb the wall at the Old Town Cemetery and go pay my respects at the gravesite of old and young Tom Morris. Any takers tonight? It's a 4-block walk from the hotel. So I seeded the idea, and they shifted over to another stream. So I seeded the idea. So the first guy to write 2 minutes behind me was Eli. He says, I'm in. So I had to have somebody step up. Eli is such a good dude.
Nantz said you got to ask him about the cemetery. I guess you were on this trip.
I was on it. I'm definitely on any guy's trip. I'm definitely on the no man left behind. And so someone's hopping a fence or jumping on something, like I got to be included. I can't miss out on these opportunities, on these adventures that you never know what might happen. But usually a great story. This is where the great stories come from. So they were kind of telling me about Nantz and them hopping the fence and a tradition that he had to keep going to go see old Tom Morris's grave. And so I was like, yeah, I'm in. It involves a graveyard and hopping a fence. Like, it sounds right up my speed.
And much to my amazement, later on, I started to realize this had taken hold. And the great majority of the group decided this was a good idea. So I said to them, I did it the last 4 opens at St Andrews. The wall can easily be climbed by you athletes, which is not that easy. We know that. Maybe I oversold that.
Ben, Eric, Marshall, Eli, and I ended up going. And Marshall was rather fearless, and he very quickly jumped over the trash can and over the wall and immediately cut his finger wide open as he did it. The rest of us were a little bit more thoughtful of how we got over the wall.
This was, I guess, midnight or 1 a.m. and full of excitement, said, all right, we've got to go to Old Tom's grave. That's part of the tradition, and let's go. So we stocked up a bag full of beer and walked down the streets, and we get to the cemetery, and they had built a temporary chain link fence. Obviously, they probably want to keep people out, which didn't keep us out, but I climbed the fence, and I didn't even kind of look. I was at that point where I just kind of hopped over and landed on the ground. I said, oh man, I looked at my finger and it was bleeding pretty good, and grabbed a beer and washed off the blood. And then it kind of kicked in. I go, we're at the beginning of a 5-day golf trip in the best golf courses of the world. What the hell am I going to do? So, got through the night, got a Band-Aid. Couldn't feel a thing at that point, obviously.
The Morris gravesite is on the right wall of the cemetery. My guess is there will be a few people, perhaps a dozen, that are there doing the same thing. Your flashlight app will come in handy. And Taylor wrote, well, we are at Rusak's right now. Cooper wrote, I'm wearing camouflage. Peyton said, Jim, do we have to wear a turtleneck? I said, required at the door, preferably tweed jacket also. Peyton then said, hello, dead friends. Webb said, hysterical. And then Ben said, grave jump, a tradition unlike any other.
Typical morons. Like we hop the fence, we're in the graveyard, and it's kind of like, oh, where is it? Did anybody talk to Nantz? Did he tell us any direction? Like we're just like looking at random, stones to try to have a flat. You got the iPhone, flashlight, trying to say, is this it? No, this is it. I mean, we would have been there for 2 hours until we finally said, well, maybe we should call Nantz and he can give us a little direction. So got him on the phone,
and then it turned into a FaceTime call, which I did not expect. I'm trying to think of where I was when I received that FaceTime call, because I was outside somewhere.
I totally felt like he was there. We FaceTimed him when we got to the grave, and he was, we couldn't find it, and so I was, it's like, let's call Jim. So called him up, and he told us where to go. And we had no clue where we were going. We just walked over there. He's like, you got to go there. We didn't know. We'd never done it before. And he guided us through the whole thing in his Jim Nantz voice.
Yeah, Eli got on the FaceTime and said, hey, Jim, where is this thing? I'm looking at it like a Batman-looking structure, a Batman building. It is part of the old ruins that are there. And I said, oh, I know exactly where you are. Make a right turn. It's up against the wall on the right side. It's about equidistant with that one structure. You're in the neighborhood. And I could hear a voice up ahead. I think I found it.
And, that we would have never found this without the help of Jim Nantz, because we're going through, it's a massive cemetery. And we said, hey, does it tell me here's what I'm looking at. I see this big thing that looks like Lord of the Rings, looks like a Batman building. He goes, that's perfect. Go to that and take a right. And then we did that and we keep walking. He said, you can't miss it. It's along the east wall.
There's this ivory tombstone that's implanted in the wall. You can't miss it. So it was going to show up a little bit, even under darkness with a moonlit sky. It popped a little bit, and someone I could just tell was running toward it and discovered it. They were like just a bunch of kids on a treasure hunt. So
we keep walking, and finally see, the old Tom Morris, young Tom Morris grave. And then we, Taylor Zarzour, who was with us, gave a little speech and a little commemorative thing that we FaceTimed Jim on and sent him.
The signal broke up, and so he did fall off, but we did a video while we were there. We sent it to Jim. He was incredibly appreciative of that. And as he's just in my opinion, the voice of golf. And for him to ask us to do that was a real honor, and I'm really glad we did, because I think all of us were pretty moved by it.
Old Tom Morris and young Tom Morris started major championship golf. Jim Nantz is one of the greatest voices in American sports history, and we're here to pay tribute to our friend Jim tonight by seeing two of the greatest golfers of all time that gave us major championship golf. And here we are at the 150th edition of the Open Championship, the most historic major ever, paying tribute to the guys that started all of this. We pay tribute to them, and we're thankful for all the people that came after them. And whatever happens tomorrow will certainly be significant, but it all happens because of what these guys created.
Okay, I'll be in the lobby at 8:30.
Amen. There you go.
I think it was just powerful to be standing there, in that moment. And it was funny because Eric always waffles about early morning golf, and we were playing Dumb Barney the next morning at 8:30. And so I gave this little speech, and everybody was kind of taking in the moment. And Eric said, "Okay, I'll be in the lobby at 8:30 tomorrow morning."
It's a really good tradition. He does it every year, and it was really cool to keep it going, you know. And he couldn't be there to do it, so I didn't know what we were participating in, but I was all in for breaking into something.
It's very poetic. It was almost like out of Dead Poet Society, where we you know, our demeanor shifted to this more Shakespearean, like, let's pay homage and read some, you know, you had Taylor, whose commentary's got a voice of, you know, and it was really kind of stoic how it all happened, and meaningful. And it was great. It was awesome.
At 12:52 their time, they sent me the video of their escapades. And when I saw the video, I said, indescribably poignant, brought tears to my eyes. It did. Thanks, guys. Thanks to all of you. The tradition continues. I said at the 150th Open, at the stroke of midnight, freaking fantastic. So for this old soul who's into these kind of connections with the past and bringing it all together, to have some buddies on the ultimate buddy trip go and actually stand in for you and allow you to experience it vicariously, connect me live via FaceTime, worlds apart, 8 time zones removed, have me there live and in person. Very nice gift of friendship. Golf does that to you. You get to understand it through this game more than any other thing you can think of, any other endeavor that brings people together.
Were you involved in the cemetery trip? No, you didn't go to the cemetery. No.
I was the QRF for that one. That's the quick reactionary force in the event that there was any issues with them jumping the fence and going to the graveside of old Tom Morris. I said, you just send me a text and there'll be a group of people show up that will extract you from the situation safely and get you back to the hotel. So no, I was not a part. I saw the picture and I said, what is this? And they said, don't you remember? And I'm like, no, I wasn't a part of that.
Woke up in the morning. I couldn't move my finger very well. Get to the driving range at Dumbarney. And I was just like, I don't know. So I changed my grip and was able to do it on the fly and ended up shooting a 77 that day. And it was fine, but it's still bleeding a week later. And but yeah, that was you know, one of those moments where you're with your best buds. It felt like, you know, college or high school, getting into something fun, tomfoolery. And so, yeah, Tom Morris's spirit was with us for the whole trip after that.